Alright, everybody try to wrap up your last thoughts if you're still writing. Alright, so for the first question, I want to hear what some of you guys thought. Why do people trust doctors?
Because they're trained.
Exactly, so like trained, they might have a degree of some sort, so you like automatically kind of trust that they know what they're doing, so you're willing to like, even if you don't know what they're talking about, you're kind of willing to accept what they say. Any other reasons for why people trust doctors? That's definitely kind of the main one, but
because they're meant to be trusted, they're meant to help you and stuff, so why would they lie or anything?
yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like in our society, it's kind of like you go through school and you're built to trust doctors. Like even if you don't know what degree or specifically they have, it's kind of like ingrained into us to trust them and to believe what they say. So kind of going against that, why do people not trust doctors?
Because usually they work for like corrupt healthcare systems.
Yeah, so if you don't trust the healthcare system or you've been done bad by the healthcare system in general, wider company, then you're probably not going to trust what your doctor is saying personally.
Some doctors are corrupt and like eventually have their license revoked and just can't be trusted in general and spread misinformation to make money.
Exactly, so it's like not just the healthcare companies like you said, but the individual doctors themselves, they might have their own alternative motives that kind of sway what they say. That's why people often go to many doctors, second opinions and things like that because of this mistrust that everybody has. So those are kind of the ideas that, in terms of mistrusting doctors, kind of stem from what we're going to talk about today, the Tuskegee experiments. You guys have talked about Tuskegee briefly in terms of like building the Tuskegee Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, and making that be a prime place for Black Americans to get their education. But also, the U.S. government saw this place as a place where a lot of Black Americans would converge, and as a result, they took advantage and started to put this study on them to try and study how syphilis would impact them, but specifically only Black Americans. So we're going to talk about that. So this is going to be for you guys' notes. I tried to bold what to write so you guys don't have to write everything at all. I tried to think of kind of bolded stuff.
Hey Jacob, can you flip the light off for me, please?
Thank you.
And if you click the X button, it'll erase what's already written, or if you can use the eraser, whichever is.
All right, so the Tuskegee study. So this was like a clinical study that was between 1932 and it didn't end until 1972, which I feel like is super important to point out that, you know, like my parents were alive when this study was, or being born whenever the study was still ending. So it's very recent impact. The study was intended to observe the impact of untreated syphilis, specifically in African Americans. And the way to do this is they would specifically inject syphilis into Black Americans. But the Black Americans did not know that this was syphilis being injected into them. They were told that it was bad blood, which is kind of like, bad blood is just like in Black communities at the time being used to describe any type of illness. So if you had a cold or the flu or anything, you would just say, oh, you have bad blood. So the researchers came and said that we're going to inject or to treat you for bad blood by injecting this into you, but really they were injecting syphilis, trying to study the impact of syphilis on you. Syphilis was a sexually transmitted disease that was rampant at this point, specifically in communities like Tuskegee, where the study took place, often because of low health care, not enough food, so things like that can run rampant without health services coming in to stop it. And the researchers themselves injected them in with syphilis. I don't mean to interrupt y'all. I'll go back to the slide, but this is a picture, a real picture of a researcher injecting a man with syphilis for the study. He did not know that it was syphilis going inside of him, but he agreed to the study because of offerings of like free meals, free health care, and to rid you of bad blood, which is again just a general description of illness that Black people. While you guys are finishing up writing that, this is a kind of representing how bad syphilis was at this point. This was a propaganda poster that was pushed at the time, kind of talking about uncured syphilis nationwide years later. So trying to warn people that syphilis was happening. But again, these warnings and these type of efforts to protect were often done exclusively to white Americans, while Black Americans were being tested on so we can see like what syphilis actually does to people. I'll give like a couple more minutes for